there's a spider just running across this box. Pa-ting! What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. Today we're going to be testing a couple of CPU coolers head-to-head. The Assassin 3 from DeepCool and the NH-D15 from Noctua. This is the Chromax Black Edition that's brand new and frankly very cool. The reason for this video, honestly, is that DeepCool says the Assassin 3 is as good or better than an NH-D15. And I wanted to check that out because I'm a huge believer in air cooling, and I'm a huge believer in the NH-D15. Noctua has always made great products. However, you may remember last week, I tested out a bunch of CPU coolers on my newly acquired 3900X Ryzen CPU, and the Assassin 3 performed very admirably and did it very quietly as well, which was very impressive. So I went ahead and I ordered one of the new Chromax Black editions of the Noctua NH-D15, and we're going to put these things head to head and figure out which one is better. So before we get into the performance, I want to talk about aesthetics a little bit. As you can see, the Chromax is on the CPU right here, and you'll notice right away this thing is blacked out to the max. It is, to say this thing is just a black Noctua CPU cooler is to understate it a little bit. Everything is blacked out on this. The fans are blacked out. Obviously the cooler is blacked out. The base of the cooler is blacked out. There's really just no other color but black except for on the labels of the fan. It's kind of impressive how far they went. Even the little clips that hold the fan to the CPU cooler blacked out. I mean, it is the absence of light in a very significant way. If you were to put this inside of a dark case, you'd be hard-pressed to even see it in there. It's very dark. It's very blacked out. There's no shine. There's no gleam to it. It's kind of a matte finish as well. It's a little bit hard to photograph in that way, but if you want a stealthy build, that is your guy. I mean, that is a blacked-out cooler. The Assassin 3, on the other hand, I think is pretty cool looking. It's kind of got this more chrome finish on the top. It's shinier. It looks more blinged out. It's also got these kind of plastic strips here just to offset the chrome on the top and also kind of cover up the heat pipes that are kind of sticking up through the towers themselves. And to be honest, I don't know which I prefer. I think it depends on the build I was going for. If I wanted something that was really fancy looking and had a lot of RGB in it, I'd definitely go with the Assassin 3. If I wanted something that was completely blacked out and just stealth all the way to the max, then obviously the Noctua NH-D15 Chromax edition is the way to go. But really aesthetics-wise, you can't go wrong either way. It's just going to be a matter of preference. Both of these look cool. I would point out that these plastic bits that go above on top of the Assassin, that's something that if you wanted, is available for the Noctua, but you'd have to pay separately for, and it's not cheap. I think it's like $15 or $20 to get plastic bits that kind of slide onto the top of the cooler as accent pieces. So, you know, even though these coolers both retail for $99.99, you know, you do technically get something extra with the Assassin. Whether you want it or not, you know, that's really kind of up to you. You can actually remove these too from the Assassin if you want to get a cleaner look, which would just be kind of a chrome look, which I think would look awesome as well. But, you know, whatever. Up to you. Next up, I want to talk about, you know, installing them and fitment. Both of them, these are big honking CPU coolers, right? These things are huge. You're going to want to actually make sure that you have clearance in your case height-wise. So from the motherboard to the top of the cooler, you want to make sure there's actually room in your case for these things to fit, you know, from the back of the case to the side of the case, from either side of the case. You know, if you got a glass panel or something, these things can actually get pretty close. So you want to actually look at the specifications of your case to make sure something this big will fit. Also, you want to make sure that they'll fit with your graphics card. Most people aren't going to have a problem here. But to be honest, if you look right here, that is a very, very tight space. If you want to take the graphics card out right now, you're going to have to get something like a chopstick or, you know, a screwdriver and stick it down in there to release the little mechanism on the PCIe slot to get the graphics card out. So, you know, that's a difference between air coolers, especially big air coolers, and something like, you know, an all-in-one water cooler. Is that clearance right there is very small. Both of them were very easy to install. In fact, DeepCool seems to have kind of learned from Noctua as far as the mounting goes, because the mounting brackets are very similar on both of these coolers. They're both pretty easy to install. I really didn't... Both the instructions were very easy to follow. I didn't have any problems following the instructions. I'd say both of them were great as far as installation goes, and both of them were great as far as performance goes. So, DeepCool does say that the Assassin 3 can go toe-to-toe with the Chromax, with the NH-D15. So that's what we tested today, and for the most part, what they're saying is pretty much true. It doesn't beat the NH-D15, and it doesn't exactly tie the NH-D15, but all of the differences I measured were about a degree and a half, maybe a half a degree, right behind the NH-D15. So that, to me, is negligible difference, right? It doesn't really matter. I tested both these coolers on the Ryzen 3900X. It's overclocked to 4.3 gigahertz with a 1.375 voltage going through it. It gets pretty hot with that. And, you know, I've been playing a lot with this CPU and really enjoying it. I'm not going to keep it at that speed and voltage, but when I was testing it, that's what the CPU was at. And it gets pretty hot. So, the Assassin and the Noctua NH-D15, I ran both of them through a benchmark, or basically a stress test. And I ran them both for 20 minutes at a clip. I ran them twice each. One time with both fans running and one time with only one fan installed, because, you know, some people want it a little bit quieter. Maybe you're not going to be running a lot of hardcore CPU tasks. Maybe you game. You don't need the extra cooling of the second fan. You're just going to run one fan. I figured I'd test that as well. So here are the results for the testing. The Noctua, the max temp that the NH-D15 hit was 90 degrees Fahrenheit. This is in a temperature-controlled 68 Fahrenheit room. So 90 degrees Fahrenheit for the Noctua, with an average temp over the 20 minutes of 79.3. The Assassin, this is again with two fans, hit 89.8 degrees max temp. That's 0.2 degrees lower than the NH-D15, and the average temperature that it ran at over the 20 minutes was 80.8 degrees, which is about a degree and a half above where the Noctua was. So I'd say that is almost a dead heat. You know, it's a degree and a half over 20 minutes average, and 0.2 degrees lower max temp. That's pretty close. With one fan installed, the Noctua hit 92.5 degrees as a max temp and ran at an average of 82.4 degrees. The Assassin hit 93.4 degrees max temp and ran at an average of 84.5 degrees. So about a degree higher for both the max temp and the average on the Assassin. In my opinion, that's basically arbitrary. There's no difference between these two CPU coolers as far as their performance goes. As far as the sound goes, they sound different, but they're both really quiet. The Chromax, the Noctua NH-D15, it sounds like that Noctua fan. That you can still hear it, but it's like it's a lower frequency. It's like a more bass sound. It's a dull sound. And it tends to stand out less in a room, to me personally. The Assassin fans sound like very quiet computer fans. Very quiet computer fans. In fact, when this thing's running at idle, you know, you hardly hear it. They're both really quiet. The Noctua just has like a different frequency than most other computer fans. And whether you prefer that or not, it's really up to you. I tend not to care. And really, to me, the difference between these two products ultimately is going to be, is one on sale right now? Can I get one cheaper than the other? And what does my build kind of require? Am I going for a more kind of fancy looking build? Then I'm going Assassin. Am I going for like a blacked out stealth build? Then I'm going with the NH-D15 Chromax edition. Am I going for, you know, like a skin colored build? Then I'm going to go with the NH-D15 without the Chromax. I really like that Noctua has kind of released this all blacked out product. To me, it's much more attractive than Noctua's previous offerings that were kind of skin colored and brown colored. Just not good looking. Like, there was a certain amount of coolness factor that you got just knowing that you just completely went away from aesthetics altogether and just built, like, you know, the quietest PC you could. But I really like these Chromax designs. I'm really satisfied with this cooler. I think it's really cool. It's so black though that it's like the absence of bling. Like, if you want a really cool looking computer, you can do it with this, but you're gonna have to find a way to kind of spice it up a little bit. With the Assassin 3, I mean, I think this thing looks fantastic with the chrome, with the plastic stripes on the top. The thing looks really good. It performs, I mean, dead even nearly with the Chromax. You know, it's just as easy to install. The directions were phenomenal. Really, there's no difference in these two coolers as far as I can tell. A very small performance difference, but it's not one that you'll ever detect in real world usage. So it's really just going to be aesthetics or price. Right now, they're both priced at $99.99. If one of them goes on sale, I'd buy that one, to be honest with you. Or if you prefer the aesthetics of one over the other, then I'd buy that one. That's going to do it for this video, guys. I was actually really impressed by both of these CPU coolers. And I'm glad, you know, I'm really glad that DeepCool has made a product that performs toe-to-toe with the NH-D15. And I'm glad that, you know, Noctua feels the need to release products that are aesthetically pleasing to compete with something like the Assassin 3. You know, like, choice is good. And I'm happy with both of these choices.